Okay, I think we're live on Facebook. Um, Kicking off the June People's Wave of Love Solstice Ceremony. Rosa Harper, I'm here with Marshall Golden Eagle Jack, and this is our first Facebook Live with Marshall. We're going to be going live on Facebook every day at the same time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. We'll be live for about an hour. We'll be doing this every day until the 28th. So for the whole duration of the solstice ceremony. Marshall, do you want to share any words? We have a few people tuning in.
Okay, beautiful. Um, yeah, welcome to another brand new day that's never ever been used. And for me, it's an exciting day. There's a lot of people that are joining around the planet, um, initiating ceremonies, and just praying for the Mother Earth, praying for the lands, plants, and animals. So a lot of activity going on, and we're doing our part to try to help better this planet. And so, with that being said, as we go into ceremony for the next 10 days, we humble ourselves and just ask for guidance and directions from the God Almighty, from the Holy Ones, the Creator, all of the grandmothers and grandfathers of the universe and galaxies. So I start us off with a prayer, and we just ask permission. We ask permission to use the energies and transfer our thoughts through the crystalline grid. So I'll offer this prayer. I may want to offer a small short song too, that the holy ones are asking for. We'll call them in. Yuna Yuna Namasuda Hey, dear grandmothers and grandfathers of all of the galaxies, all the councils of creation, the creator of all things, the ancient ones, the wisdom keepers, the sacred Mother Earth and all its inhabitants. We call upon you today, asking permission to work with you, to ask for your guidance, your understanding and wisdom. For us humans that walk upon this earth, we see many things in many different lands around the world, and so we ask permission to call upon you and offer you our prayers, and we just ask for special guidance through the crystalline grid here on the Mother Earth, so that we can all connect together, heart to heart. And so as everyone is participating, we're joined through that crystalline grid. So we thank you for coming this day and honoring us and blessing us wherever we are upon the sacred Mother Earth. Aho. Yeah, good morning. It's a special morning for me. It's the beginning of this 10-day solstice full moon ceremony. And we wanted to start it today because in Australia down under, they begin the process today. And those of us in the northern part of the hemisphere, we're in a different time zone segment. So for most of us in the European nations, USA, and Russia, China, we'll all be waking up to the solstice tomorrow morning. But this morning, it's happening in Australia and New Zealand and those parts of the world. So that's what this video is about: is to honor our friends and all the families down under, as they call it. So I put out a special prayer for the Maori people down in New Zealand and all the Aborigines in Australia and all the indigenous that are down in those reverse time zone, I call it. So we begin this morning by honoring the grandfather sun as it starts to make its cycle, and it begins a 5-day journey that increases its energy. So today is the first day of a 5-day energy field that the sun produces for us. So today, tomorrow, and the day of the actual solstice is when the sun is the most powerful. And then 2 days after, we'll continue on with the ceremony in honor of the sun. So this morning, I come out and I sit with the holy ones. Actually, right before this video initiated, we were talking together, Rosa and I, and then the sun just poked out and shined upon my head, and beautiful blessing for this day. And then there was a little sprinkle of rain that came down with it, so it was a huge blessing. So I'm gonna ask Rosa if we have any participants on board, if they wanted to maybe share some insights or some things that are coming in for them today. I hope.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at the feed, and we have several people joining us. Jigna is here. She says aloha. She couldn't be on the call today, but she's tuning in, probably multitasking like all moms are doing. And Siska from the Netherlands, I believe that's who she is joining us too. She says aloha. And I encourage anybody who's tuning in, if you have questions about the ceremony, questions for Marshall, insights, anything you want to share with us, feel free to leave a question or a comment in the chat. We're here for you. We're doing this for the holy ones, and for the group itself. So please let us know. John says hello. He's here too.
Aloha, everybody. Yeah, I'm broadcasting live from the Hawaiian Islands here on the island of Kauai, and what you see behind me, I don't know if you can see the mountains behind me, but this is a sacred mountain to the Hawaiian people, and I live here in a community called Puhi, and very ancient grounds here, a lot of ancient ancestors, and so I'm honored to be here with all the ancestors here today. And so yeah, this is your time. If you have any questions at all or any comments, we've been instructing people in the past 3 or 4 months to be engaged in this event, how to set up the altars, how to set up the sun altar, the moon altar, and we actually went through that practice with the sun, the moon, and we also had not an equinox, but what do we call that? An eclipse. Yeah, we also set up for an eclipse. So we should be really well rehearsed on setting up altars. And so if you see behind me, I have 2 altars. There's one over here. Let me see, where's my finger at? This one right there, that's the sun altar for today. And then over on the other side, over here, that's the moon altar, which is awaiting. And here's Goldie. I don't know if you can see Goldie right there, where top of my finger. Goldie's channeling information this morning. And so the intent for the day, as the holy ones came in last week or week before last, they said, look at the priorities for us human people and for the planet, for all the plants, the animals, the water kingdoms, all the elemental kingdoms, and all the kingdoms that live upon the Mother Earth. And we look for a better way to make changes that all inhabitants would be in harmony and in sync, be safe from harm, and being taken care of. And so as we look around, the Holy One showed the first intent that they show for today is using our energy using our thoughts, using our prayers to call in all of the leaders around the planet that are responsible for creating war. Responsible for creating war. We call upon all of those leaders and all of the staff and everybody that's engaged in conducting the wars. We call them all in today. And we ask all of their ancestors, both on their mother and their father's side, to be with us here today. And we ask that the Creator, all the holy ones, would shine down upon them. And we ask that maybe the decisions about how to communicate, instead of actually causing a war of destruction, killing one another, killing our children. And so that's the focus that I see today, that the holy ones are showing, that we need to call in all of those leaders, all of their ancestors, and ask for a better way to resolve the issues that are going on in these countries, especially with the children and the elders, all the ones in between. So that's the intention for today, is let's give our energy to these world leaders and find a better way to resolve conflicts than actually going to war and killing our children. So with that being said, I'm going to maybe pass it back over to you, Rosa, if there's any comments or questions about that.
Thank you, Marshall. Yeah, we have some more people just tuning in to say hello, Pamela and Lynette. And again, if anybody's watching and you want to ask a question or need clarity about any part of the ceremony, please just post that in the comments. So Marshall was just sharing with us about the major intention for today, which is to really use our energies to address war on Earth, and to kind of hone in on those political leaders who are pushing the buttons and pulling the strings of the war machine. And even if we don't like them, I know I don't like these people, praying for them and calling in their ancestors and asking that they use their power, to end war and to do what they can to avoid it. Anything else about that, Marshall?
Yeah, the way we see it is that war is the last option that these leaders have, that they've exhausted, communication. They've pretty much stood by their ego. And so if their ego is damaged and they can't resolve it, they create a war, say, no, I'm better than you guys are. And, our country is better than yours, and blah, 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 blah. But the final result is war. And that's, killing each other. And it's ridiculous that in this day and age that we haven't come up with a better solution politically to resolve some of these issues that are going on in these countries. And for me, it's like, why do we want to put our children in harm's way? These leaders have influence over a lot of people in different lands. Why would they want to do that? Why would China and Russia and the United States and over in the Middle East, they've had holy wars going on for centuries. Why do we do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like there's better ways to resolve issues than literally killing each other, killing families, killing mothers, and children, and fathers, and grandparents, grandmothers, grandfathers. They're all victims of war, casualties of war. But why are we doing that? Just ask that question. Why do we need to create a war that's harmful to the loved ones, especially our children? When we first started People's Wave of Love, it was all initiated way back in December of last year, around Christmas time. It was all about the unborn, all about the children that are coming behind, the newborn. And so our focus is, okay, we need to do something. We adults right now, all of us around the planet, we need to do something to make a better place for these children to come into. And when a newborn is born, that it would be comfortable, it would have food, it would have water, it would have the nurturing it needs without that influence of war, destruction, or whatever else is going on around them. They have as much right to this planet as each one of us does, but we can make it a better place for them. And that's what we're doing. That's why we're creating these events and collective consciousness and global unification. That we're really stressing our energy and saying we need to make this a better place for our children. And today we want to eliminate the wars that are harming our children. I hope.
We have a few more people tuning in, just saying hello. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Carol. And so we've been talking today so far about the initiating intention, which is to really imagine peace on earth and an end to war on earth, and calling in the ancestors and the souls of all of the people who are in positions of power in our governments, and asking that they choose a better way. And I'm wondering, Marshall, if it's important, there's anything we can do, any tips about doing that. I know when I think about these people, my heart kind of closes up a little bit, and it's hard for me to pray for them. So any tips about that? Any tips about how we can make that prayer more powerful?
Yeah, each one of us, we have an influence. It could be a negative or a positive influence, and it's comprised of our judgments. Our judgments takes the love away. And I'm not saying all judgments will take our love away, because there's good judgments and there's bad judgments, obviously. But the bad judgments, when we, like you were saying, I don't really care for a lot of these leaders out there who are causing the wars. I don't know who they are. I maybe don't even know a lot of their names. But they're individuals just like us. They've been influenced by something, by their grandparents, by their parents, by their teachers, their mentors. They're just like us. They're individuals that has chosen a destructive way of living. And so they've been conditioned to their environment, and they feel there's a need to protect their environment, which is a natural thing to be doing. But over the years, over the centuries, many countries have developed, these weapons. And it's like, why did we do that in the beginning? What was the purpose of killing one another? And you shoot your enemy or you shoot your friend because of a judgment. You don't like them or whatever it is. All it is a judgment. And you go out there and you kill them. That person is dead. What does that resolve? What's the point? That's what I don't get. I don't understand. What's the point of killing one another for somebody's ego? That's just, it's beyond my comprehension. And so these leaders, again, they're just like us. They grew up in an environment which was, the instructions were given to them to, protect their lands no matter what. Even if you have to kill your neighbor to protect your land, that's what you do. And that thinking right there needs to be altered. We need to find a better way to resolve these issues that are at hand. And so the best way I know, by my elders' teachings, if you have a conflict with somebody, get out of your ego, get out of your judgment, if you will. If you don't feel right about someone, immediately call on their ancestors, both on their mother and their father's side, to join with your ancestors on your mother and your father's side. Well, that's what I've done over the years. If there's something, or even, people are asking for healing, or even today's Facebook Live, before we went on, I called in all of the ancestors that are going to be watching this today to join with my ancestors. And so then my ancestors and your ancestors, they create a dialogue for us. And so I just go on the feelings and the emotions and the visuals, if you will, that they're showing me. And so we can do the same thing, is like all of these world leaders, as we mentioned before, that we can literally call in all of their ancestors, both on their mother and their father's side, to be here with us today. That's what I did this morning. They're with me. They're in my backyard. And so I'm asking the Creator to bless each and every one of them, to remove these obstacles that are influencing them to cause war. That's the best that I can do. I just call in their ancestors and give these leaders over to the Holy Ones, over to the grandmothers and the grandfathers. And today, the grandfather's son coming in, very, very powerful. And so I pray that way, and I make my offerings. I say, okay, bless all of these ancestors, bless all of these leaders, bless all of the ones who are engaging in producing warlike environments. Bless all those people. Find them a better way to resolve the issues at hand. Aho.
Thank you, Marshall. So if you're tuning in, Marshall was just explaining the importance of calling in the ancestors. And especially today, the ancestors of all of those people who are in positions of power to stop war, on Earth, and calling in their ancestors. And I want to add that sometimes we can become convinced that that peace on Earth is naive, or that it's not possible. And so I just want, when I make my prayers today into the water, I'm going to really envision what a world would look like without war, because it's possible. It's real. I think we've had periods in the past where we've experienced peace on Earth. And so I'm gonna spend some time kind of articulating with what that looks like. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, Marshall.
I'm not sure where that destructive path came from. Who knows how many? What was the beginning spirit of that? And so many times I concentrate on that. And the elders that I grew up with, they were about the Mother Earth. And so for me, the reasoning of war and all these crazy things that are going on in the human aspect, a lot of it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, why? What are you people doing? And my understanding of life, of why we're here on this particular planet, is that we were sent here to nurture this planet, to take care of it, to understand energy and use that energy for the betterment of this planet. So if anything is out of alignment or that is not in harmony, that we are given a gift, and that gift is an authority to use energy to create that harmony and to create that environment for all living things. And so our elders, they never talked about destroying the lands or destroying anything. Is that if something needs to be altered, is that we find a peaceful solution for it, bring it back into harmony. And if the world leaders could understand just that much, how do we bring this energy back to some kind of a harmony and a peaceful resolution. That's all the elders did. And so for me, it was always looking at the Mother Earth, looking at the water, looking at the trees, the plants, the animals. And if was shown or seen anything that was maybe out of balance, then I would use my energy to call in the energies of whatever's imbalanced and use my energy to balance it out. So again, right off the bat, the elders they said in order to use that kind of energy, you have to ask permission. You have to ask permission of the holy realms, of the Creator, Sacred Mother Earth herself, and all of our ancestors. You ask them permission to use that energy to put everything back into harmony. And going way back in time, it's like, where did we lose that? Where did humanity lose that? Because for me, I believe these were the original instructions, going way back to when we were all just one family on this planet. And we're talking, who knows how many hundreds of thousands of years ago, that we were all just one little small tribe. And then from there, we evolved and canvassed the lands of this earth. But where did that destructive spirit come from? That's what we need to eliminate, that destructive spirit, and make this place, make the Mother Earth a safe place, a harmonious place, a peaceful place for all living things upon this planet. And so that's my take on it anyway. Oh.
So finding the beginning spirit of the problem, going back to that beginning spirit. And when you do that, you go back to the beginning, and what do you do with that once you find that beginning spirit, or once you ask to be shown it?
Well, let me give you another aspect about that in healing work. When somebody comes to me for healing, say for example, let me pick one out of the air here. Say somebody injured their back and had been ongoing for a long time. Using energy, we can discuss with the patient the beginning spirit of when that back started hurt, right? Okay, so they got it in their mind. They said, oh yeah, well, I got in a car accident and another car hit me, or whatever the circumstance was that caused the injury. And so I focus in on that beginning spirit. Okay, this is the cause of this injury. Energetically, what we can do is we can go through their energetic field, through their memory DNA, if you will. And in our memory DNA, we have a frequency that's literally in our blood. It's a frequency, a memory frequency. And so when we tap into that memory frequency, we can go back to the actual day that accident happened, and then we instruct that person to go back a day before the accident happened. To go back a day before the accident happened and dissolve the day of the crash. So what that does is it changes the frequency, the memory in our physical blood. When we do that, it's almost as though that crash never happened. But our body, because of the crash, took an influence on the physical realm that causes the pain and the suffering. But through energetic healing, is if we can dissolve the memory, that's 90% of the battle there. And then the rest of it is just the natural healing process of the body. Very powerful work. And so it's like going back to the beginning spirit of when did we start causing harm to one another? Going way back, who knows how many thousands of years ago. Going back to that beginning spirit and saying, okay, we have an authority as humans to dissolve that destructive spirit. But first, we need to identify that beginning spirit, and then go a day before that destructive pattern started. And so that's what I do: is I look for that beginning spirit and try to dissolve that harmful spirit, if you will. Go back a day before it all began. Oh,
So it sounds like we can do that when praying for peace on earth. We can go back in our awareness and our minds to before the separation happened, before the first transgressions happened against each other.
exactly.
And if we do that collectively,
That's very powerful. And so again, this is what the elders teach: is that, yeah, we can dissolve the energies that are destructive to the planet, by using a lot of techniques. And because we have that authority, each one of us has that authority on this planet. And once we understand that authority, and collectively we use that authority to create, love and harmony and joy and whatever, it's going to happen, because it's all just energy that we're working with, or thoughts, creation of thoughts. So very, very powerful. So the more people we have around our planet that are guided and directed by the holy ones to create an intentional field, when we tap into it, you, me, all the people who are watching right now, when we tap into that crystalline grid and we're being guided by the holy ones, when we feel that and we understand that, we can all contribute to it, because it's all just energy work. And so when we say we need all of the leaders of the world to dissolve their warlike mentality, it's going to go out there. It's going to affect them, especially when we call on them, all of their ancestors, both on their mother and their father's side. Very powerful work. That's why we're educating people and initiating all of this. That, yeah, we can make a change, but we also need to be synchronized in that change. Working with the crystalline grid of the Mother Earth. We're all connected, and our thoughts connect us. Oh,
yeah, Linda chimed in and she said it's like rewriting the past. I like that. And Lynn had a really beautiful share in the chat about calling in the ancestors for her immediate family, to work with them, and about the microcosm and the macrocosm. And it just reminds me that we also need to attend to the warlike patterns in our own minds, and in our own families. And yeah, and it can ripple out. It can ripple out that way too.
no. Another understanding about that kind of energy: it only takes one in a family unit to dissolve the energy that's affecting that family unit. So I've worked with a lot of families over the years, and there's one person that would come forward asking for healing, and I admire that person, because that person's been guided by an influence like the holy ones, or whatever guide that brought them to me. And I praise them for having the courage to step up and to ask for help, because they're not only asking help for themselves as an individual, but they're also asking a help for the family, because the family energy is kind of like producing a lot of negative energy. So we can dissolve that beginning spirit, right? So as we discuss the problems and the issues and whatever, and do a healing work on an individual, we're also doing healing work on each family member. And so results will start to appear, maybe in a couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, but things will change, because it's energy of thoughts, it's energy of release. And so once a person releases all of that energy, that trauma, that tragedy, or whatever, once that's released from them, it's released from the whole family. Yeah, very powerful.
Yeah, Lynette says, aho, it sounds like she has some firsthand experience with that. Um, so anybody who's new tuning in, we're here with Marshall. We're talking about the opening intention for the People's Wave of Love solstice ceremony, which is peace on earth, an end to war. Marshall's been talking about calling in the ancestors, specifically of the people who are in positions of power to make the most immediate change in that arena, calling in their ancestors, surrounding yourself with their ancestors and asking for their guidance. Marshall also mentioned the importance of asking permission before you do that work, asking permission to do it, and using your authority here as a human being, connected to all other human beings in the story of the earth, to ask for peace on earth now, here. It's overdue, and it's time. So Marshall, any other thoughts about that, or about the beginning of the ceremony?
Yeah, to initiate this ceremony in the beginning, as the sun rises each morning, and those of you that weren't with us in the beginning, Rosa and I were talking right beforehand, and then the sun here in Hawaii just rose on my head. It was about 7 o'clock, a little bit before 7 o'clock, and the sun shined upon my forehead, and Rosa seen it. And I thought, whoa, that's powerful, powerful energy. So, in working with the crystalline grid, working with energies of thought, it's very simple to do. So this morning, before I came on with you all, I'm going to step away and I'm going to go to the altar over here, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about offering here. So over here at the sun altar, I have my water offering, and so this container is being energized by the sun as we speak. The only thing that's missing in this container is intention. So when I hold this water with my physical hand, or hands if you will, just like this, and I'm giving my prayers, I'm giving my thoughts to the actual physical water, I'm asking for a dissolvement of all wars upon the planet. And I ask permission to do this. And I call in all of the ancestors of all of our world leaders. And I give an offering to all of their mother and their father side to resolve these warlike conditions that they manifest in their own minds. All it is thoughts. And so once I do that and I pray earnestly, and I call in all of my ancestors, and I say, okay, we ask the Mother Earth to carry this energy through the crystalline grid here on the planet. And then I give a small offering this morning. I give it to the Mother Earth. So I give it right like that. So now that initial offering is going into the Mother Earth, going into the crystalline grid, and it's tapping into all of those world leaders just that fast. The rest of the water at noon, when the sun is at the highest point, somewhere thereabouts, right, wherever the energy field, I'll offer another third of this water to keep the energies flowing to those world leaders. So I'll offer that at lunchtime. And then this evening, when the water's down here, a third of the water is still left in there, I'll ask that the grandfather sun to harness all of my thoughts, to harness my prayers, to harness this offering, and I'll empty this full container out this evening at sunset. I'll ask the Grandfather Sun to hold my energy in its realm and to shine it all the way around the planet as it evolves or as the planet spins. And so therefore, all of my thoughts through this whole entire day will be working through the crystalline grid all the way up till this evening at sunset, and then I give the offerings to the Grandfather Sun and let the Grandfather Sun take my prayers around the planet to all the world leaders. Very powerful stuff. And then tomorrow morning, I'll start again. There'll be another intention tomorrow morning through the Holy Ones. So that's how you do it. Very simple, very precise, and it will change things for the better. It will influence these world leaders. Something will happen to them that will stir them up because we're calling on their ancestors. Not in a bad way, but we're calling in them to resolve these issues in a better way than causing war and killing one another. Oh.
Oh, thank you so much, Marshall. That was very helpful, at least for me. I know I already understand the ceremony, but seeing you do that was very helpful. So just to reiterate, we'll be making 3 offerings every day. Marshall's starting today to be kind of in camaraderie with the Southern Hemisphere, which is ahead of us. And in the Northern Hemisphere, we'll be starting in earnest tomorrow. We'll be taking our water, a glass vessel of water if you have one, putting your hands around it, making sure it's touching the morning sun. Marshall has a beautiful one there. But you can just use a glass or whatever you have. Putting your hands around it. Marshall has a beautiful, looks like rose quartz crystal in his. Can you say something, Marshall, so we can, actually, I'll do gallery view so we can see the crystal. Okay, Marshall's showing us there. And praying, putting your intentions for peace on earth, whatever other prayers are really ripe for you, putting those prayers in there, calling in the ancestors of those in positions of power to influence them in a peaceful way here on earth. And then making 3 offerings. The initial offering is close to sunset, as close to sunrise as you can, early morning offering after you make those prayers. Second offering at high noon, and then 3rd offering at sunset, and asking the Grandfather Sun to carry those prayers around in his rotation. And Marshall reminded us that the water connects us to the crystal grid, and these, just putting the energized water into the earth will have an immediate effect on the crystal grid. It's kind of hard to conceptualize that in our mind, but it's real. And I don't know if Marshall has any other words to say about that.
No, well, you've covered it in a nutshell. I'm going to take a little walk over here. I'm going to pull my phone off, and I'm going to show you this altar that I set up for the sun. And it's all about the crystalline grid. So everything that I do, every thought that I put out there today is going to go through this crystalline grid, through the offerings that I make with the water. So let me take my phone, and hopefully we don't trip and fall and go into a hole. Okay, so let me scoot around here. So I'm going to grab my offering, and we're going to take it over here to my altar. If you notice over here, Terry is going to come out in a little bit and make her first offering for the day. Now, this container here is a grounding container. What I mean by that is that this container is holding all of the prayers for the next 5 days for the sun ceremony. It will stay stationary. On the 5th day, the sunset of the 5th day, this water will be poured out onto the Mother Earth because it holds all of the energy that we've manifested. And then in the meantime, I have another altar over here that's getting ready to go. And this is a moon altar. As you notice, I don't have any water in the container yet because the full moon hasn't initiated its journey. And then Goldie, she's kind of sitting in between both of these altars. And so she's channeling the energy. But I want to concentrate more on the sun altar. What I've established here and what Goldie asked me to do is set up an altar where it's designed to go into the crystalline grid 24/7. So all of this energy here, the energies around our water, our offerings, our altar is all designed to go into the crystalline grid. So I know for me, every thought that I have, every influence that I can make is going into that crystalline grid. So I have to kind of check myself and get rid of any judgments, if you will, any bad judgments about anything. I don't want those going into the crystalline grid. So it's again, like we said in the beginning, it's very humbling when you work with this kind of work, that you have to be very, very clear, very, very honest with yourself and not project anything out there that's abstract. And so it's coming from your heart directly into the crystalline grid. Once you've made the offerings for the intention of the day, again, today is for calling in all the world leaders for dissolving the war energy. You can also add your personal prayers through the day. Prayers for yourself, healing for yourself, prayers for your family, for your plants, for your animals, for your lands, for whatever's happening in your own homeland. You can add to those prayers. And so it'll carry your energy. But again, do it without malice or whatever, without any judgments, harsh judgments. Again, the influence of the protocol is ask permission, calling all of the ancestors of who you're working with or what you're working with, and making your sincere prayers for them. Okay. Any thoughts, any comments, anything else we want to cover?
Yeah, mostly people are just saying thank you. Nobody has asked any questions yet that I see. And again, last call for questions. Any questions for Marshall? He's here for us. We'll be on for about the next 10 minutes. And just to kind of recap what Marshall was saying, as you make your prayers every day, check yourself, especially with the prayer that we're being asked to make to initiate the ceremony. If you have any judgments about the leaders of the world, I know I do, just try to check those at the door, and have an open and benevolent heart, free of judgment, seeing them as your brothers and your sisters because they are. Because like Marshall said, your energy affects the crystalline grid, and just being aware of your own energy is going to be important. Yeah, Linda says, seeing you go through that process, seeing you make your prayer really helped, Marshall. So thank you for doing that and showing us how you set up your altar.
Again, there's no right way or wrong way to set up altars. It's your way, whatever you feel that is the most powerful altar that you can create. And when we did the initial videos leading up to today, we discussed all about altars and different influences and the permission and calling in the ancestors and all that. Bottom line is that we're making a place on an altar or in our homes or in our land, a place where all the sacred ones can come, sacred realms of the holy worlds, the creator, all the grandmothers, all the grandfathers, all of the healers, all of the star nations, all of the energy that's above us. We're making a place where all of that energy can come and join us. That's basically all that we're doing. It's just making a sacred place where they can come. And here in my backyard, it gets pretty full. But I have them surrounding me right now. I can feel their energy right now. It's just kind of like almost like honoring me, but it's also not just honoring me. It's all of you that are connected with me. They're honoring Rosa, they're honoring Linda, and all of you that are watching, they're honoring you right this second, because we're joined. We're joined through that crystal and energy field. And so we're holy people. We're blessed people. And the holy ones want us to be strong. They want us to be happy. They want us to be full of joy. And so we take all of that energy and get as strong as we can, get our hearts as strong as we can, and then we lend that energy to others who are discontent or who need a helping hand. And that's what it's all about, is that helping each other, all of us around the planet, helping each other to create a better place where all of us can live and not be afraid, not be fearful, not be thirsty, not be hungry. That everything would be back in the balance again. And we can do it. It may take quite a few years, but the more energy we lend to that harmony, it will come about quicker, because we're all joining together globally, synchronistically, and we're all praying for the same things. And with that being said, I kind of hand it back over to all of you that are watching right now. If there's anything that you need help with or understanding or comment or question, we have a couple more minutes. And then I'm going to start my journey here on the island. I'm going to go find me a beach where I can work on my suntan. Think about it.
Thank you, Marshall. Yeah, we had a question from Sarah asking about the offering. She asks, for the offering, do you always offer a prayer? Sometimes she offers stones, shells, etc. But when you say offering, are you referring to the prayer? Do you want to answer that for us?
Yeah, prayers, offerings, all of those are synced together. It's almost like they're all one energy field. When you make an offering, your prayers are in the offering, your energy is in the offering. And when you pour it upon the Mother Earth, it's all linked together. You know, it's all based on intention. Intention is what creates that energetic field. So again, like I say, there's no right way or wrong way. Everything is connected already. So don't worry about those little things. Just know that your intention is involved in everything that you do. I hope.
Let's see. People are just thankful. Someone mentions that they dance and they sing, or they give an acorn or a petal as an offering. And yes, this will be recorded. Some people are asking about that. This will be recorded and will be on the group page for you guys to watch in totality later. Carol's asking a question about our DNA and how we can best restore our DNA if it has been compromised by anything.
Well, the best way I know is to find some assistance with energetic healers. And it's going back and tracing again that beginning spirit of that issue. You can do it on your own, take some practice, but if you have somebody around you that knows energetic work and dealing with what we call ancestral lineage healing, you know, that's one of my main practices, is ancestral lineage healing. Because a lot of times the issues that we have in a human form in this lifetime may come from an energetic path through our ancestors. It could be either on our mother's side or our father's side. If they had any issues back then when we were given birth, all of that energy is transferred over to us in the birthing canal, and then we grow up with it as an adult, and sometimes we don't even know why things are happening or why we do things. The reason behind it is because of the influence through our ancestral realm, through our blood, the physical blood, the memory. I hope that maybe answers your question.
Yeah, I think she was referring more to like modern medicines that could disturb our DNA.
Yeah, well, modern, I don't really want to get into all the modern medicines, but it alters our natural energy fields. Okay. Um, Let me see. I'm trying to think of an example of altering our energy fields. Uh, huh. Well, here's a good one. Alcohol. Okay, alcohol in its simplest form is a medicine, right? Alcohol. When you in absorb that alcohol in your system, it's just like any medication. Once it's in your system and your system absorbs it, now you're the one that can answer this question. Is that good for you or not good for you? In a very simplistic form, anything that you intake, if it influences your body, that is not a natural substance. Now we're talking apples and oranges here, because then somebody's going to ask, well, what about foods? Different types of foods, different types of water, different types of liquids. So again, you have to take it upon yourself. What is best for you? I try to stay away from any medications as I can. It's kind of like, I don't like that stuff. When I was growing up, I would always go to the medicine people, and they would put me in a sweat lodge or do a ceremony over me or whatever. That's, for me, was a natural energy of dissolving whatever the issue was at hand. And so it didn't alter my body, but it helped my body just through energy work. So any alternative drugs or prescriptions or whatever, it's like we become conditioned to believe that these pills are going to help us. And no, I'm not saying they're not going to help us, but some of them do, some of them don't. But the more often we take them, our body starts building up this influence in it, and it starts to crave more medicines, and then we start an addictive pattern. The other thing that's detrimental to medicines too is that it starts blocking our natural flow of energy, and then that'll cause more problems. Anyway, I don't want to get off on a healing tangent here, but those are my thoughts.
Thank you. I love it when you get off on healing tangents. So we're a little past the hour now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with Marshall again. We're going to be live. We get 10 days of him. We're going to be live every day on the group page at 10 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Central, 7 a.m. sunrise time on the island of Kauai, where Marshall's tuning in from. So thank you guys for being here. If you have more questions, feel free to pop them in the discussion of our page, or message us privately. We'll be here every day for the next 10 days. So thank you guys. Any closing remarks or a closing prayer, Marshall? You want to leave us with?
I want to thank you for allowing your inner self, your inner guidance, come together with us. And we ask that you share this energy with your friends and your family and whoever or groups that you're involved in. Because it is an energy that we can create together, and we can start to resolve some of these major issues that we have on the planet. But we need more energy. That's what I'm not going to say that's what we're lacking. We have more than enough energy, but it's bringing it in synchronistically harnessing that energy so we can make an influence on the earth. So again, I want to thank you for taking time out in your life to join us. I'll be praying for you all day long, along with the altars. And Goldie, she says she'll be doing her journeys. She'll be doing her rounds, and she may come and visit you. You may get a nudge on her shoulder, or you may hear something that maybe you haven't heard before. Something today is going to change, something new that maybe will influence your life. So again, humble yourself, make your offerings, and believe that your offerings do make a difference. As soon as you pour that offering onto the Mother Earth, it's going into that crystalline grid. And I'm going to say this kind of jokingly, but whether you believe it or not, it's literally going into the crystalline grid. So again, thank you for joining us this morning, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. And I want to thank Rosa for hosting us today and getting everything on the technical end together for us. And so with that, I offer my blessings to not only you, but to your family, all of your plants and animals and your lands, wherever you live on the Mother Earth. Aho.
Aho. Thank you so much, Marshall. Bye for now, y'all. We'll see you again tomorrow. Be well. Peace.